We have groups and groups of beings that would like to come through today. It's almost like they need to take a ticket or get in the queue. The energy of Mother Nature would like to go first, in which everybody bows and steps away. I want to share an example about nature that is so simple yet so detailed and reflective of the existence of humanity. We don't plant a tree. The tree manifests itself as part of the ecosystem in the desire of the planet's expansion and growth. We don't make a river. A river manifests itself in the reflection of the desire of the planet to coexist and co-create with the tree. We don't ask the fish to come to the sea to create an ecosystem. It is there as a reflection and as a result of the desire of co-creation and ecosystem and reflective of the outer world and the outer environment. And we use this example because the tree is aware of the desire of the planet. The tree is aware of its co-creation. The tree is aware of its job, its purpose, its task. What is not in its awareness, and we would like to be very clear, what is not in the awareness of the tree is that it must be taller than the other trees. It must live longer than the other trees. It must be the one that the other trees come to for support. That it must stand taller than the other trees to get more sun. That it must be greener to get more sun. That it must be more sick to then get attention for water. All of that awareness is humanity's desires. The tree just is. It doesn't even have a question of where I came from. Because it's not at the conscious awareness of that question. But think about that. It just showed up. And it showed up because of the planet's desire for evolution and for growth and for life on this planet. Because if we didn't have life on this planet, the tree would not exist. And the tree is aware of this. When it comes to the waters, there is life and species in the water, actually also in the trees, that are undiscovered by humanity at this point. There are species and fragmentation of consciousness that is living in and amongst these living conscious sources of light. But what is involved in the sea is flow, is air, is life, is food, is energy. The fish, the algae, the different species of coral, it's all alive. And it has no question but to go along with the flow and the desire of the planet, because as the planet shifts, so does the water. It has no fight that the planet should not spin or that the planet should not do what it wants to do, because it understands it's for the greater evolution of the whole. It understands that I'm a fractal piece of this puzzle. It understands that at the minute scale that my existence is for a short period of time, but for the greater good of the planet. And we want to bring this example because you need to understand that these examples are reflective of where you're at in your life. And to keep it as simple as being a tree, being a fish in the pond, being the river. Choose these elements to establish the flow and reflection of your own life, because it is co-creation and so are you. The vessel that you have chosen to incarnate in the highest joy of this life experience is ultimately in co-creation for the planet. And we have Mother Mary stepping forward. And Mary Magdalene by her side. But the words that we speak are from directly Mother Mary. It is privileged to see the balance that is happening in every soul being. The balance of the masculine and the feminine energies, the balance of the heart and the brain, the balance of equality, and the overall balance in your constitutional systems. For it starts within you and within your body for this balance to then be reflected and rippled across space and time. The balance and the power within you is more effective than you could ever imagine and that you could ever think. We'll give you an example of imbalance in terms of poverty and war, in which I have endless tears for the suffering. This begins with internal war. This begins with imbalance between the heart and the mind. This begins with imbalance between self and ego. This begins with imbalance in your energetic field. This then reflects out and takes an energy and a manifestation or a creation energy for what you see in terms of suffering on the planet. I come to you today to share that it is my privilege and my honor to witness the imbalance being significantly lowered, and people taking more ownership of their own balance internally, which is significantly higher than it's been before. And with the balance of the heart, the mind, the feminine and the masculine energy within your soul imprint, within your energetic field, this is the most powerful energy that you can conjure. I have lines and lines and lines of souls and people coming to me for forgiveness, coming to me for redemption of their soul that's been taken over by ego or taken over by shadow. And for me, this queue of people is getting less and less, which shows me that the work that you are doing individually is significantly helping the majority. If you are one of these souls that is awaiting redemption, awaiting forgiveness, know that I can be present in that energetic exchange, but it is the forgiveness of the self. It is forgiveness of yourself. It is a letting go of the old self and giving yourself the honor to step into a new self and into a new version of yourself. For the death of the old self or the death of a timeline can only follow a rebirth and a new. So there is no good or bad here. It's transitional. We're sharing that you don't need the forgiveness from me. You need to release yourself from the traps or the shackles that you have put upon yourself. And love yourself enough to forgive yourself. Love yourself enough to release yourself from entrapment. Guide yourself enough to balance the energetic body for more light and for more love to come through to you. There is no limitation on light. There is no limit of how much love can come through. There is only a limitation on how much you are willing to give it and to receive it. And if you can be at capacity of love, then expansion is next for you. To hold even more and to hold even more and to hold even more. As I am with you through the darkness, I am also with you through the light. And as people see me and want my forgiveness, they also want healings from Mary Magdalene. Know that we are always side by side, we are always together, so in which our energies continually exchange, in which we can co-create with you. For we are all the children of this creation. And there doesn't need to be any more fight. The fight within yourself, the imbalance within yourself can easily be overcome. For heaven is the place on earth. Heaven is earth. It is your creation. You just need to embody the love and the light to experience it. Do you have any questions for Mother Mary before she goes?
No, not really. It was just beautiful understanding and explanation. Well, I guess yes. Let's add one question. What for those who are still fighting themselves, or still in the fight mentality, the warring understanding, and want to move beyond that? What advice, or what is there a practice that they can do, or questions that they can ask themselves to move beyond that energy?
Currently, they are seeking me. We would like to shift this perspective to seek yourself, for I am there anyway. I am always there. But they seek me for blessing and forgiveness, and ultimately still hold themselves in the trap or a victim to their own enslavery mentality. But if they can first reflect internally, which I am there as the light, they will not seek external from themselves. And if you can always reflect internally, does not become a mission of your external experience. This is where the major shift would need to take place. The understanding that this is all created for you. This is all in service to you. You cannot stay as a victim. There's not enough vibrational support to allow that to happen. The only thing that Mary Magdalene wants to share is about love. And love allows for the healing. Love allows for the expansion. It's not necessarily your belief of expansion and your belief of something greater beyond yourself, and that there is energetic support and that there are angels or galactic support or whatever your beliefs specifically are. It's the only way expansion can exist is in the vibration of love. That's why love is so important. It's not just a physical feeling of being in love with something or someone. It's about the vibration of love for the collective, for the planet, for humanity, for the animal kingdom, for the galactic world, for the angels, for all of the realms coming together, for they are pouring their light, which we feel as love and support, to us. We send that back, and therefore expansion occurs. So there's no measuring tool for love. There is no scale for love. It's there, and then it's more, and then it's more, and then it's more. So the main point is that expansion can only exist in love. You love yourself enough to expand. Do you love the planet enough to expand? Do you love the collective enough for expansion? Or are you angry at the collective? Are you frustrated at the collective? Are you mad at the planet? Are you mad at the self? Because if any of those vibrations exist, love cannot exist, and therefore expansion will either not happen at all or happen really slowly. Just like a person can love their animal or their pet beyond words can say, and there is no verbal communication. It's just you have no judgment and no frustration and no anger towards this animal. So that therefore it's unconditional love. And the animal has no judgment on you. They are there of service to you and your greatest expansion. So this is an example of how much you can hold love and space for something. So if you could take that love to every aspect of your being, every aspect of your life, every aspect of the collective and of the planet, then you will expand at a really fast rate.
So essentially, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And if you could do it in love, expansion must take place no matter what it is that you're doing or what it is that you're connecting with. It's just in love, it's expansion.
Love needs to be heart-centered,
Mm-hmm.
with the purest intention, without condition and limitation. Because if you are doing something with condition and limitation, it's not love.
Mm-hmm.
Love cannot exist in that paradigm, doesn't exist in that vibration.
So it's what is love is doing things with an openness of what it will be, not dictating the terms or controlling.
Well, that's what you would call marriage,
Yeah.
not love. Anything that you are feeling enslaved to or contracted to with the intention of love is not necessarily its pure essence in form, because you can love your animal or your pet, but you don't marry them.
Yeah.
And do you really own them? You might have a paper that says so, but they are of service to you as part of your expansion. You don't really own anything. And ownership is a man-made term. Ownership really only exists on this planet and in this existence. Freedom and freedom of what you would say assets, or freedom of stuff, will allow expansion again at a more rapid rate.
Because at the end of the day, all the stuff that we own, it's just creation. It's things that are being created or things that we are creating, but if we are the self that collecting the planet, there is no ownership of any of that.
No, you are one piece of the puzzle, and you may feel or think that you are a bigger piece or a greater piece than somebody else or something else. But just as Mother Mary and Mother Nature mentioned, the tree and the river just know that they're our piece. That's enough for their existence and their greatest expansion.
Yes, and it feels like when we truly step into love, the idea of this level of ownership doesn't actually make sense anymore, because we're connecting to a part of the whole where that doesn't actually exist.
Yes, and this ownership timeline will come to an end as it's manifest and created in a separation understanding, separation of land, separation of people, separation of culture, separation of gender, separation of everything. So it cannot exist in expansion, it cannot exist in love. And as more people take the balance of their own masculine and feminine energy, take balance of their own shackles that they've put on themselves to keep them trapped in something that they don't even know they're trapped in, can lead to freedom, and it can lead to more love and more light, which will eventually lead to expansion. And there are enough people doing this now. There's less needing of healing and forgiveness from external. There is not millions of people, but there are enough people that are questioning, wait a minute, I can do this myself. If I've created this, I can fix this, or I can heal this. There's enough people saying that to make the shift and to make the difference. So Saint Germain just wants to share that just like everybody on earth has a skill set, so do your angels and your galactic support beings. So we have people that are transforming land masses and water. We have energies that are healing timelines of sick and needy. And we have support systems in place for the financial implications of what's coming next on your planet. So it's not necessarily that everything will be healed and fixed tomorrow. Everything is expanding, and what's coming next, it will be a very quick kind of replacement of the old and the new. Just like when you get rid of one coin and there's a dollar bill, that was a quick kind of replacement. Just like you'll get rid of, maybe most people have already not having so much cash and going more digital. We're not saying this is a good or a bad thing. We're just saying that this is an example of in with the new, out with the old. And we have support in every single area to ensure the expansion of the planet is to its highest divinity for the self, the collective, and the planet at all times. So when people may say, well, there's also imbalance in the planet, or there's imbalance here and there's imbalance there. Yes, there is. However, this is being balanced in the best way possible, and being supported through its own expansion.
So it's the acknowledgement that as we do what we need to do for ourselves, there's also support for us. There's also support for the collective, also support for the planet. So it's not like the wheels are going to fall off this thing by you making your shift. It's all supported in every part of the shift.
Yeah. So think of it, if you were, kind of falling backwards off a cliff. Instead of falling 10 meters down before a beautiful soft landing, you may fall 3 meters, and the next time you fall, it's 2 meters, and the next time you fall, it's 1 meter, and the next time you don't even fall at all. And in each of those soft landings, we are there. We've already laid out the soft landing part before you even thought about jumping off the cliff. So in no way, shape, or form are the potentials not supported. Because yes, it's a lot of work because there's infinite potential, but we can kind of not just see where it's going, but we are just a little bit ahead of space and time to see the trajectory. And it's not one way or another way. It's one way, 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 one way. That's why we're here, and we're everywhere at the same time.
That's beautiful. So, I guess what it brings up is the understanding that humanity is still steering it, and you guys are supporting us in the potentials that are unfolding. It's not someone else is creating this; it's we are doing this.
Correct. Each of you individually are creating this. And there can only be more potentials because of your creation. So staying in the present moment, making choices that is to your highest alignment and to your highest level of joy and love is why that is so important, because as you make those choices and as you make those decisions and take actions and move towards the joy, more potentials come for joy.
And that kind of pulls the energy out of those other potentials, or those other potentials that are not joy based. They don't have the energy to sustain themselves, and we start moving to like a, what's the word, like a scale in which those don't exist on necessarily the scale, if we were looking at like the spectrum of potentials that exist.
Let me share this example. There's if you are unwell right now, let's just say you've been diagnosed with an uncurable disease, quote unquote. You've already cancelled out in your mind any potentials for healing to take place. So can it happen?
No, it's not a potential that. Well, it can happen. You're just not open to that potential.
The potentials are always there for healing. It's the awareness that the potential is there and that you can align to it. And there's the potential that it will take time for you to heal. There's a potential that it's instantaneous. There's a potential that it's a reoccurring health condition. There's a potential that you cure yourself. There's a potential that you meet somebody and they give you the best cure. It's a potential that you carry on this disease for the rest of your genetic disposal. There's unlimited potential. It's just you being aware of it and being open to it. And if I'm believing something external from me, like a diagnosis from somebody else, when I can diagnose myself, because I'm the greatest form of technology on this planet and my technology ability is greater than any machine or device that is put in front of me, then what is the potentials there? Let's say you've lost your job. Is there potential for you to get a new job?
Yes.
But nobody wants me and I got fired, and how am I going to get back on track, and I've got bills to pay and I can't take less than this much money, and I didn't even like that job anyway, and I'm going to improve myself. Maybe I'll take a break. Maybe I should take vacation. No, I can't take vacation. You're creating all of these potentials instead of just tapping into the potentials that are already available to you. So you get fired from your job or you lose your job. Amazing. What an opportunity to create something. You literally just have to sit there and say, these are the things that I want in my life. I want to be free to work the hours that I want to work. I want to have a majority of it be fun, exciting, and creation or being creative. I want to have weekends off. I want to have unlimited travel time, or what you would call vacation pay. I want to make at least this much money or more in order to be able to fund these vacations that I want to create. I want to have a level of appreciation and respect from every single colleague that I work with, and in exchange of business ideas or whatever. And then you just make that list and you read it out and know that it is done, because all of those potentials exist. It's a very different creation than the ones that I mentioned before. So ultimately, it's in your best interest and it's in your greatest expansion to be open to all of the potentials at all times.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. That's a great understanding, and it's helpful for us to know, like, we are the ones steering this, and all of the potentials that we are aligning with are supported.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't have to then go and ask for forgiveness later.
Mm-hmm.
So, what potentials can you hold to your highest light?
Yeah.
So, if you can think of yourself as the collective, that includes us, that includes the saints, angels, and galactic beings, because the collective is you. So, as each of the angels have a specific, let's say, department that they look after or skill set, or, there's magic, there's alchemy, there's elementals, there's Metatron, there's creating your own Merkaba, there's healing, violet flame, all of these elements still are within you. So, which parts are you utilizing and which parts are you taking on board in your decision making, in your everyday life, in every present moment?
Yeah. It's feels like it's time for us to start using these aspects to create what we want rather than waiting for something to be delivered to us.
Think about the time that it takes for you to like Mhm. Now you guys are at a different level and we're in communication constantly. But if it was, if you're just starting on this, for example, then you would have to go into meditation, then you would have to connect with an angel or a guide, and then you would get the message of the download, and then you would try to figure out what it means, and then you will try to take the action and then check in and see if that's right or not, as opposed to just knowing it.
Yes, and we've noticed the rapid acceleration of things unfolding because there's not that processing time, so to speak. There's not the we need to go into meditation. It's we can think of it and see it unfold in a relatively rapid short period of time within some
As
days,
long
some
as you
hours,
don't
some
have any
other.
resistance to it,
Yeah.
and there's no judgment or there's no other vibration that's getting in the way of the purest essence that it can come to you, then that's the magic of it. That's the alchemy of life. That's what it is. You might have to think that you need to do X, Y, and Z for something to happen. But all you've done is just replace the I have to be good for good things to happen type of mentality. Still the underlying same energy, you've just upgraded it to nicer words.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Like going through the routine or the steps in order to feel good today is still trying to be good, a good person, rather than knowing that I'm good. Let's move on. Let's create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there are still people that struggle with even, making decisions or getting out of bed and understanding that they have a choice, that today can be the day that everything changes, or it can be the same day as yesterday. And there's a lot of people still stuck in that category but they have their own guides, they are on their own journey, they are on their own timeline, and what will resonate to them will come to them when it's needed the most.
Yeah, I think one of the things that let's call them advanced, the awakened, the people who have been doing this type of work for a long time, I think what I've seen is the experience of what they're struggling with is that they're still like waiting for something to happen in order for them to step into like the understanding of like I can create everything I want. I can literally create everything I want, and I don't have to live on the terms of the way the world is. We've kind of adopted a better way to live in the same world rather than stepping out of that and going into the world we are creating. And I feel like that has been the gap or the struggle for the awakened collective, the advanced people, the spiritual understanding group. So is there something that how can that click for them?
But those lessons had to kind of unfold in the way that it did for vibrational shifts to really make a difference. We could just have come and said, "You are pure love. Bye." What does that mean to you? How can you use that? What shifts in your life can you change? You just walk around saying, "I am pure love, I am pure love." Eventually, 20 years later, you may get it that you are pure love. That's it. So, you know, the explanations have unfolded how they've unfolded, and the guidance and the experiences have had to be that way for expansion to take place on the scale that it's taking place on the planet. But not only that, you can't transform one part of it, you have to transform the whole.
Yeah. And so now basically everything that we've learned and the messages that come through, it's now like another shift. And it's not just a shift for the masses, it's also a shift for those who've been doing this to go into mastery and create without being tied to necessarily the way the world used to be.
Yes, absolutely. There's a whole population of people awaiting to become ascended masters, and they're in their mastery now. And part of their mastery progression is to master these kinds of lessons and to be there in support and to assist. The ascended masters, quote unquote, club, or whatever you want to call it, is not easy to get in. It's not just lifetimes on this planet understanding human behavior and be what it's like to be a human in all aspects of what it is, the worst of the worst and the nicest of the nicest, but it's also about your impact in what you're doing, and not in an ego way, the impact of the ripple effect. Just like this movie that you like on, how can you measure the impact of the ripple? Does this person have enough effect to impact more people than just one person? Because in a human level, you just have to impact yourself. But from our side, we have to see the potentials of how many people can be impacted in the best way possible. Because if that is a greater way to do it, then that would be in more alignment for expansion and for that to take place. Like you would see the stories of Yeshua, or Jesus, as you may call him, he wasn't around for many human years, and he did not really touch millions of people. The maximum he really encountered, we would say, is like 300 to 500 people. Yet the ripple effect and timelines, yes, manipulated or not, but still very real, exist. So that would be the mastering the ascended master. That's the access key to get into the ascended masters club, because of the amount of transformation or change impacted in that time period, and still continuing now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you for sharing all that, because that's a really, really insightful piece to the understanding of everyone's shifting. Even if you are advanced, it's still shifting. And what is your impact? What are you creating? What are you giving to the self, the collective, and the planet? And it gives us a different angle to look at, the ripples, the impact of what it is you're doing. And it's not about depth. It's not about followers or millions. It's about,
but know
impact.
that this is not your human experience.
Yeah.
Your role is not to impact the mass. Our role is to see the potentials of impact and then go in that direction, or be guided to that direction.
Yeah.
Your role is for expansion of the self, the planet, and collective internally.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and then allow the energies to work for you.
So, Gandhi or Buddha or Yeshua and all of these ascended masters, as you would say, even gods and goddesses like, Zeus and Isis, everything came to them. Nothing, yes, they had led a challenging life and may have got, into ego and power and greed and some of the human stuff. But if you just see it for what it is, as a holistic story, everything came to them. They did not go out and seek enlightenment. They remained, especially somebody like Buddha or Yeshua, they remained in their most transcendental state for healing and for love. You could not be in the room with them and not be healed, because that was their essence.
And it feels like, to me, it's time for us who know this to embody that and walk in that too.
That's all you have to do. You're not preaching, you're not making sure that everybody is aware of this information, you're not door knocking, you're not doing anything. This is enough. Talking about it on this platform is enough to vibrationally bring in the people that want to know about this, or that they need some information to understand what's going on in their life and have some awareness of it. That's it. That's to the extent. When it comes to doing talks to masses and kind of stuff like that, that's something fun to do, but it's not necessary for your own expansion.
Yes, thank you.